Today, the title of my subject is God is not anti-gay. People are anti-gay. So God is not against anyone's sexuality. People are against or can be against anyone's sexuality. Therefore, there is a problem here. If God is not against anyone's sexuality, those who believe God exists can then associate their dislike for other people's sexuality as the will of God, and they can make a strong case. Those who will want to say, my sexuality, my business, my right to live, without intimidation, without hate, without any kind of prejudice, then we'll have a problem of choosing the life they want to live, my body, my life, abortion as I want to do it, because I don't want to bring up children into the world that I can't take care of. They will be faced with those who believe God said no. So whatever you do, when you push the boundaries, you see that behind the wall is the invisible God. Now, there is a problem. I have traveled across the world. In my journey, I noticed something. I've been to Europe, as you know. I've traveled to so many West African countries, enough to give me the conception how the mind of people in Europe and the mind of people on the African continent works. Good. I've also been exposed to so many things, media, engagement, social work, everything. And what I've noticed is that there is some difference, and the difference has to do with the existence of God. When you go to Asia, though you have them mostly as pagans, Southeastern Asia, as pagan mostly. You have Hindu, you have Buddhist, you have Krishna, you have, name them whatever you want to do. They believe behind everything is the existence of God. In the Middle East, almost every part of the Middle East, because of Islamic, Judaism, and Christian faith, they believe in the existence of God, absolutely. So, we've talked about Southeastern Asia, you've talked about Middle East, the whole of the African continent, from north to south, it is one thing. You can be a Christian, you can be a Judaist, you can be a Muslim, you can be anything, you can even be a pagan. But you must believe God exists. Then you go to the South America. By their absolute majority, they are Catholic, they are Christians of different denominations. But one thing common to them, God exists. Now when you go to Europe, and here I'm talking about part of Russia down to Western Europe and United States of America, there are two schools that are clear. Those who believe in the existence of God and those who disbelieve. Between them are those who are doubting. Now, when you look at those areas, including Japan and Australia, Canada, United States of America, you see that they are far more developed because they have the two schools who are clearly established. It's okay in those parts of the world to question the existence of God and try to be convinced in your informed way, and that allow people to go into scientific projects and other things that are realistic. They are developing at an abnormal rate. When you go to these other areas, outside these areas I've mentioned, it's a taboo. We call them the Absolutionists. Remember, in Europe, they are divided, they are partial. Those who believe, especially the up and coming generation, they don't believe, or they are seriously in doubt that they don't want to have anything to do with it. And nobody in the name of God can tell them to do anything. So they are rather open to facing the real challenges of the world. But the other areas, these are places where we call them the Absolutionists. And the African continent is in the middle of this mess. So nothing. The youth are coming. They are having reasons to question. The old generations have taken up the pillar they are standing in the name of God. You can be anything in Ghana, but you must believe in God. And we are sitting down, and we have Christian council, we have Islamic council, we have a pagan council. Well, they call themselves, traditionally we call them pagans. What's wrong being called a pagan? You worship an idol, so you are a pagan. All these things, they are working together. The question is, why are they able to work together? Because they have an organized structure. You can put anything in your constitution. In the constitution of Ghana, everyone and their belief are welcome. You can be a realist like I am, and you are welcome. But there's one thing about everyone's right is protected. The constitution is very clear. Freedom of association, freedom of expression is very, very clear in the constitution of Ghana. But it's one thing. Your freedom is one thing. Your inability to organize yourself, to be able to come up and stand on a position and say, I disagree with this, and be respected, it has to do with how organized you are. And this is one of the big problems. That when the Europeans were going through that transformation, that age of Renaissance, the age of deep thinking, the age of realism against illusion, against the absolutionists, that age, there were, of course, attack and people have to lose their life. But we can't afford to do the same mistakes today. We need to stand up for what we believe as realists. You can't be superstitious and be realist, but you can be a realist and religious. Religious means you meet together as a people in what you believe that is good for you and you uphold it. That is religion. Religion with superstition is to believe God exists. That is superstition. And if we argue that, look, everything is possible. The superstitious people, Christians, Muslims, and the pagan, they will say, with God, everything is possible. Can you see? Remove God from there. Everything is possible. Then you are making a case. Yes, it's possible God exists. It's possible. Because those who are telling you God exists don't have any practical evidence. People alive gave them the information. So don't let us go into the world none of us have been to. So it's possible God exists. So it's a possibility. We all wake up looking into the sky and wondering, who created this sky? How is it like this? How did I come into the world? Why am I able to speak? Why do I sleep and wake up? These are questions. They are okay. It's okay to think there is something stronger than you out there. But exactly what it is you don't know. We said it's nature. Good. Some people have come to help you answer your question, the question that make you uncomfortable. Will I sleep tomorrow and not wake up? Will I be dead? What will happen to me? Will someone come and kill me? And when I die, what will happen? They have provided you with the answers in the name of God. Now, the interesting thing is that these people who are absolutionists are well established and well organized. They always feel threatened. While from Saudi Arabia, you have people coming in and supporting and building mosques and all over the place. And Medina, everybody is springing up because freedom is allowed. The Muslims who came through the Arabian tradition, through the desert, when they were coming, there was a crusade against them by the indigenous pagans not to come because they are scared. Today, they exist. and they are well established and well respected, that they will decide what they want to do against where the pagans who were originally there, well, because they are Ghanaians, they are nationals. Then you also have the Christians. When the missionaries by the colonizers started bringing Christianity, the indigenous pagans refused. Today, the Christians are also there, and the American evangelists are financing and sponsoring them to be strong, and they are influencing the political space. So while the indigenous people are already there by their paganism, they've lost some of the population to the Christian and some to the Muslims. When the pagans, for example, in Accra say nobody should drum, the churches drum, there's nothing they do to them. You do your own, we do our own. The Muslims, we recently had a case where the gangs in Accra said nobody should drum and nobody should make any noise. And the Muslims say, well, they even go and bury. And when the Muslims are going to bury, maybe they sing. And the chief imam told them, we are going to bury our dead when they die. You go and stop the angel. They believe angel kill people of death to stop killing them, and we will stop burying them. But when they die, so you can see, it's all about political strength. Yeah, you have them. Now, the third force or the fourth force has been sleeping, the liberalists. They don't exist in Ghana. You can't be a staunch Christian and call yourself a liberalist. You can't be a staunch Christian and call yourself a human rights activist. You can't be a staunch Christian or Muslim and call yourself an activist for the only justice that makes sense to you is the justice of the Quran and the justice of the Bible. So now there is a problem here. We need to stand up. Those who believe there is a need for this, because the Constitution allows it. If you cannot create a voice, then you never get justice. We must create that platform. I am providing this leadership. We need somebody who knows what he's talking about, somebody who is interested in this, is a stakeholder, somebody who believes in it, and somebody who knows what there is. Let me tell you something. With the so-called new anti-gay bill coming in, remember, even to talk, apart from the fact that when this movement starts, those whose selfish interests are what the current system is advancing, they want to protect themselves. To do that, they will attack us. The liberalists, the realists, they will come, that are telling people that if they have a right to create Islamic school and they have a right to create Christian school, then we also have a right to create realist school, if that is what we want to create, and educate our children to grow, to understand it is okay to believe God doesn't exist. That will be something we have to do. They will come after the person who will lead this, the person who can go on air and said, somebody at a place like this has been killed, has been assaulted by a group of people because of this law. And so we want this law to be repealed. Then, because if you can't protect people, as you claim you can, then why do you make a law to criminalize them? If that is the case, in Ghana, where weed smokers, when I was a child, dare not be seen weed smoking weed. When you go and tell the police will have time to go and arrest that weed smoker. Today, weed smokers smoke weed by the police because they are the people who are protecting the politicians. So we are at a point where the person that will lead this new movement, as they did in Europe, to create that real liberalist position against the illusionists, against the absolutionists, that person must be protected. Recently, the Church of England, in whose name the Archbishop Justin Welby leads, he said, the sex of God cannot be defined as a male sex because God has no sex. And we say, hold it, for thousands of years, We have had society that has been made to be saying, our Father who art in heaven. So a father is a man. Why is the father now in heaven no more a father? Is he now a mother? And he said, the change or that use of that word was only in place by a generation of misogynists who believe associating male name with God will give that authority nature they want to create to allow them control and advance the interests of their society. And that makes sense. Hold it. They needed power. They wanted power. And they created God. And they used that God to control people's life. Voila. What about if that God doesn't exist? It's a possibility. It is possible. It is okay to believe maybe God doesn't exist. Our job is to start this mission, is to start this challenge of educating people to understand, yes, and we will raise resources. We will be funded from anywhere the funding is coming, to even children that will be disowned by their own parent for asking questions, for doubting, to move to our place, our center, to have a life that they can be protected and grow to have a reason of not asking your mother or your father, Daddy, how are children made? And your parents will tell you they are made by God. Hold it. This is biological. When a male mates with a female, they will have a child. We have a country, Ghana, where we human beings are told sex education cannot be taught in school. Why? Because God frowns at it. Because it's against the value of God. How? How? If you teach these children sex education as they are maturing, they will grow to know the danger. And then you introduce them to things they can take while if they engage in sexual act, which it does happen, they will end up being able to avoid it or raise alarm on time and be helped to have a chance in life. Why do you want small children to be going about with babies when it can be avoided in the name of your God? Because you believe if a woman is raped and she becomes pregnant, as some people in Europe did, and they have learned their lessons and they are changing, you believe God put the baby there because you having sex with someone becoming pregnant. They want you don't have that sex. They frown at sex. They hate it. They tell you don't. But when you do, what next? They say you must have the child, knowing fully well that that child will be a mess in your life. Torture. We must have our own center where we shall educate children, adults. Anyone who wants to know must be free to go to the center. We will create our own television and platforms, social media, any medium that others can create to advance their belief. We will create it too. We will get resources from anywhere to fight our battle, because it must be okay to be different and accepted. It must be okay to be different. But if we have people who are saying an LGBT member, by his nature, he's committing a felony. Hey, do you know, some judge, the meaning of the word felony? An attack against the state directly, violently. That is felony. Even when you go and shoot people on the street, it's not considered as felony. Talk less of somebody who is minding his own business. Maybe a man is kissing in a corner and you are setting young people against them. We must have somebody who can go on air, well protected, to say his mind without fear. Honestly, society will accept us as time goes on. When I say society will accept us, I'm not saying society will accept me, Kofi Ali, because me, My conception of justice, my understanding of life is different from their understanding of life. Yes, and I believe there is room for everything, as long as we can get ourselves properly organized. Ghanaians can live with themselves. If Muslims, like I said earlier, and Christians today, and pagans, three different people, justice totally can sit down together, then it is okay. We fight for what we believe, that your sexuality or whatever you are must not be the basis for discrimination. The Constitution of Ghana is very clear about this, very clear. But we have people who, for their own political selfish interest, have decided to go this way. Kofi Ali, our center, the Center for Realism, Citizens' Right Advocates, this is our time. Please and please, reach out to us. Reach out to us. If you want to help, we need the support of the whole world to fight against ignorance. God is possible. God doesn't exist. It's okay to believe it is possible God doesn't exist. It's possible to believe. If you believe God exists, it must be by your choice. It shouldn't be by force. So also, if you believe God doesn't exist, it should be by choice. Should not be by force. We have now come to this point. Support, help, be with us to win this battle. I know one thing with my hands on my chest: the whole world will be with us against the fascists of Middle East, against the fascists of America. There are some people there, some psychos in America. They are those funding this hate, you see, their own version of family value. They are there, the value as defined by God and their doctrine. And this kind of people are subjugating us. They are tearing the society apart. And I think they must be the other school of thought that will have, we don't believe. If we don't believe your God said we should march, we don't believe your God exists, about arguing whether the God is an Islamic God in form of Muhammad, or a Judaist or Christian God in form of Jesus, whether God is black or God is white. We don't have time for that stupidity. The fact is, we must wake up to realize that it is time to believe it's possible God doesn't exist. On this note, remember to subscribe, like, share, and we want your comment. We need to take this battle to the next level. We are waiting for your support. Yes. If you need our account, contact us. We'll give you our account. Help. We must be strong. When a child is killed, when a young man is killed, to be able to go to court, summon the authority of the state to come and explain their position on how they prevented the person from dying, if they are going ahead to make a hate law. I believe you are going to have a wonderful day. Thank you.